All right, good morning. Hope you're all having a great start to your day. Today's Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. We'll go ahead and get started, touch up on the overall market, go over some economic data, and get right into our favorite main watch list. So, hope you're starting your day right. I want to touch up on the economic data for today. Do not forget FOMC minutes is at 2 p.m. Eastern. So, again, it's an event, goes on, gets a little bit of uncertainty on the overall market. So, if you don't see any directional plays, very, very critical to not overtrade. As we look into the rest of the week, on Thursday, we start having jobless claims at the open, 8:30 a.m. And then we start moving a little bit more into the Fed balance sheet at 4:30 p.m. So we'll be keeping a look at all this economic data as we get to the end of the week. And again, don't forget wholesale inventories on Friday at 10 a.m. All right. So I hope you're starting your day right. I want to touch up on some forward/ES first. We'll go ahead and get started there. If you guys actually saw what happened yesterday, we did see a huge liquidation filling that gap to the downside. And we did have a gap all the way to that 43.06 range. And we did see, again, shorts really covering that range almost about, give or take, 50% from that bottom. So that was really good. Now, if you watch the overnight session, we did see some continuation for the rally at that 43.45 range. But we actually started rejecting two handles from yesterday's high. So I'll be watching overhead resistance for a directional move for that 43.48. If we break out of that range, start looking for 20 handles for the upside for that 43.67 range. If we could take that out, again, market is really, really pushing. That's ultimately a massive squeeze on the market if we get to that range, to that 43.70. But I want to see how we react at 43.48 and see how the market is setting up. Market sentiment is very, very critical as well. So don't go taking longs if you're watching rejection at that 43.48. And don't forget FOMC minutes is today at 2 p.m. Eastern, so it gets a little choppy. Now, if you're watching the range that we'll be trading on forward/ES, again, if we our primary support is 43.20, so if we can hold that, again, overhead resistance 43.48, you guys can see that rejection. If we take that out, we'll start pushing for that 43.60 and 43.67, 43.68 range. And then for the downside, if we break under support at 43.20, there's a lot of weakness for about 15 handles to 43.06, and then watch the whole number at 4300. And then under it for another 10 handles. So we'll get there when we get there. But again, primary support 43.20. Would love to see how it holds into this morning. And then that overhead resistance at 43.48. Now, let's get a little bit in details about our main watch list. Again, we won't be watching a lot of things, especially when the FOMC minutes is going on. I want to touch up real quick on the Amazon flow at the close yesterday. Let me send you guys the levels so you can see what I'm talking about. You can see a massive move already, an exhaustion move actually on Amazon into the pre-market session, making a new high, that 37.13 range. Now, very, very critical, especially a slight gap, give or take about 20 points or 33 points to the upside. Take your time on the entry for this. Ideal entry is always at support if you're watching support at 3,700. And understand there's a slight gap to the downside if this can't hold, all right? So take your time on it. I also want to show you the prints we actually got into the close yesterday on Amazon. If you notice, from 355 all the way till close, they've been buying up that 3600 call and 3700 call. You can see expiration varies, so 3700s, they're going a little bit out for July 16. If you're watching those 3600s, they're going actually this week, so they're playing weeklies on these contracts. So again, high probability trade. We did see a massive directional move on Amazon yesterday. This is out of your risk management. Then definitely do not execute on Amazon. But really, really critical. Let me see Coach Paulie saying a little laggy here. Let me see Coach. All right. If you guys don't hear me at any point, just let me know. All right. Appreciate you guys. But if you're watching support, watch for an ideal entry at the bounce, right? At support at 3,700. That's where I'll be looking for Amazon to actually base at that support. If it holds, ideal entries 3,700. If it breaks to the downside, not really biased on Amazon, especially seeing the massive exhaustion move into the close, actually into the open. So really critical. Oh, can't hear. Let me see, Coach. Oh, that's is it internet or is it cutting out in terms of? That's interesting. It's good you guys are letting me know. Okay, sounds perfect. Yeah, because I have something here which show if it cuts out. But Coach, thank you for the point out. Appreciate it. And again, it's very critical. If anybody doesn't hear me at any point, just let me know for sure, because I can definitely see what's going on my side. And again, if I cut out towards the end as well, just let me know. Appreciate you guys. You're the best. All right, so 3,700 support. Take your time on this. Again, Amazon, really high probability setup. Already had a massive move. But don't be biased on Amazon thinking that it already made I blame the moose. I see you, coach, because I'm in Alaska. I blame the moose. But if you're watching Amazon, anything that goes up can definitely go higher. And a prime example was yesterday that break on Amazon. The moment this guy took off at the open, we actually saw that 35.26. That's the range we wanted for 10 points. Moved all the way already, about 35.32 at the open. So ideal entry was waiting for that bounce at 35.26. And if you caught that bounce real quick, you could see what happened with Amazon. It really did rally and take off. If you didn't catch it, no FOMO. Again, a new day like today, we'll be watching Amazon. And again, really, upside is huge on this. So I'm not biased on the downside or the upside. If it starts continuing and we see some nice momentum, we'll be taking this for more highs. And if it doesn't actually hold 3,700 as support, let's bring it down for a quick 20 points. All right. Now, let's get more in depth. I do have here Zoom. I want to talk about Zoom. We haven't been talking about Zoom for a while. But just starting to see that daily chart coil around to the upside, looking real nice. Order flow coming in. Let me send you guys the levels first and get more in depth on Zoom. But if you're watching that 407.50 into that morning, I mean, I did see a pre-market rejection 405.64, but I need directional plays over 407.50 and whole number preferably at 407. If you're watching that daily chart, we're setting up for a nice move. This has actually been in a downtrend all the way to that 350, 370 range. You can see the moment it broke out of that 370, almost had a 30-point move to the upside. So again, Zoom is a momentum stock. That's how I trade it. So if you do catch some momentum on Zoom, again, not biased on it, but I do love to trade this at the open if it catches some volume. Very critical if you're watching 407.50. Easy move. Again, Zoom can move 5 points at the open like nothing. But make sure you're watching. You're watching, making sure you're keeping in mind risk reward, right, at all times, especially on Zoom. Sometimes premiums are a little bit overpriced. So if it's out of your RM, definitely don't take it. But you could see a move like yesterday, broke 390 at the open and it moved almost 10 points all the way to 400. That's where it actually started consolidating. So I would love a directional play. I'll be watching 407.50 and we'll take this to 412. And if it actually rallies over 412, again, upside is huge over here. As you guys can see, this is breaking out of a downtrend, and when it catches momentum, it goes. We'll be watching again for 420 if it actually takes out that 407.50 and 412 potentially. It can close over the 412. Very critical, guys, right? Not just hitting the level, but actually closing over that level and showcasing the strength to take on the trade, right? Watching the downside, 401 has room to 397.50, and I see one of our good members, Sir Quant, mentioning Shopify. We'll touch up on Shop in a minute, more of a side watch trade just because of the spreads have been going wide. I was watching the 1600s yesterday, mentioned by one of our good members in the room as well. And just the spread itself, we'll touch up on it in a second actually. But let's get these high probability trades out of the way. The last one is Tesla. Again, directional move on this. Very nice. And we did see yesterday a nice move to the downside. So if you caught this Tesla, congrats. And if you didn't catch it, absolutely fine. Really just watching the break under support. And we did see huge weakness on Tesla the moment it actually broke. There was a slight gap fill as well on the daily. So again, just going back to technicals and seeing what happened with Tesla, it already actually bottomed out. You could see 651.40 yesterday. Had a nice move back, almost 9 points, where it actually opened up, almost close to where it opened up after that massive drop at 666. So I want to use 666 as a overhead resistance into this morning. And I'm already watching support at 659. So if you're watching this is setting up for a nice explosion either direction. And we're not biased on Tesla, but it's consolidating in the pre-market session. Usually a nice consolidation like this leads to a nice move, a massive move to either the upside or downside. 666 is critical, reclaiming the 200 simple moving average as well in the pre-market session, 200 SMA. So if you're watching Tesla, ideal entry is 659. But you could see if it doesn't hold support, as you can see what happened yesterday, the moment it took out that support, it just dropped like instantly 8 points. So not biased on Tesla at 659, but ideal entry is there. Would love to take on a nice bounce. If it actually rallies some momentum and takes out 666 off the bat, again, we know Tesla trades on momentum. So we'll look for partial entry on confirmation at 666. And then we'll actually scale in more upon the continuation over that level. As you can see, over 666 has room to 670 and 675. So it's almost a 9-point range, but you don't need to take the whole 9 points at one time. All right. So give yourself that ease of mind. Again, psychologically, remember to trim as you are in a position and scale out as you go. Leave some runners, right? We always speak about leaving some runners if you're in the trade. Very, very important. Now, I want to touch up on last but not least, the FOMC minutes again today. So take your time on it. I want to touch up on Shop as well before we get into anything. But that Shop 1561 looking real nice. And on the daily chart, it's been It's been setting up very nice on the daily chart for a massive explosion. Again, I was watching the tape yesterday and watching order flow. Market's looking nice. Shopify is looking real nice. Just the spreads are the only red flag I have on it. But if you can catch shop with a tight spread, and you have to be there, you have to be watching that spread. Make sure you're watching those contracts. You get a nice tight spread, but very critical. You can really catch a nice move on this, especially when it catches some momentum. Can get a good trade on this. And IV is not jacked, which is another thing on these weeklies. Applied volatility. So this is huge, right? So if you're watching shop again, risk reward ideal. I'm going to tell you here my favorite contracts just to keep you here posted on this. But again, we'll see how it opens up. 1600 was one of my favorites yesterday. Was noticing maybe a 20-30 cent spread. If you go a little bit further out, you don't want to go too out of the money on this, especially for delta purposes, and make some money on this. But the 1700s are looking real nice as well. And 1650. 1650s is the most ideal because that's a 10-cent spread. But we'll see as we get into open. But if you're watching shop, again, I don't want to play this at the resistance level at 1561. If you're looking at entry, look at 1515, okay? 1520 or 1515 range. That's primary support on this. And again, if it can actually rally right off the bat at the open, not interested in the trade. But if it actually pulls back and maybe second half of the day or first half of the day, we could start watching some room at that support, so we can watch for that ideal entry at 1520. I'd probably be taking on a trade. I'll mention it for you guys in the room. But if the spread is wide, not interested. I consider myself a safe trader, especially on high premium names like this when the spread gets stupid. Not my cup of tea. But hope you guys are again setting up your mind in the right space. Again, out of these trades, you're shooting for your best risk reward or the best trade that's actually setting up for you in terms of your account size as well. And if you want to take on directional plays, wait for FOMC minutes till it's out of the way and wait for the market to actually show us more direction. Absolutely fine. Remember, cash is always a position. I hope you guys are having a great day. Again, we got about 3 minutes into open. No rush today whatsoever on the day. So remember, especially when FOMC minutes is going on, I'll be watching Tesla at the open, that 666. Would love to take a nice trade on it. And if Amazon can bounce support, that would be a great trade at 3,700. If it goes like yesterday and you start seeing some momentum, it gets a little bit stupid at the open, make sure you're taking your piece. I'll definitely be ready more at the open today unless it has a move in the pre-market session again like yesterday. That 10-point scalp would have been gorgeous, but not looking at this to be should have, could have, would have, but actually just to understand what happened. Remember, guys, having a trading journal next to you is very critical. Noting down psychology, noting down how you feel towards entry, exit. How are you upon putting size on the trade? How did you feel upon partially taking 50% off the table or 1/4 of your position off the table, right? So understand yourself, because this is kind of where it really is, and that's how you can scale as an investor, is really understanding yourself psychologically, understand where your risk tolerance is. Everybody has a different risk tolerance, but adapt to your risk tolerance, and hope you guys have a fantastic day. DM me if you need me, team, and let's make some money, guys. In and out.